Hello and welcome to this session. This is Professor Farhat. In this session, we're going to look at the adjusted trial balance. In the prior session, we looked at the trial balance. Now we're going to look at the adjusted trial balance. So in a sense, we looked at the adjustments from the other recordings, and we look at the trial balance from the other recording. Now we're looking at the adjusted trial balance. Okay, so what is the purpose of the adjusting trial balance? The adjusting trial balance is part of the accounting cycle where we started by analyzing transaction, journalizing transaction, posting to the ledger, preparing the regular trial balance, preparing the adjustments, and this is what we did in the prior session. So this is what we learned all of those. Then now we're going to look at the adjusted trial balance, then prepare the financial statements. So what is the purpose of the preparing the adjusted trial balance? Well, just basically to make sure all debits and all credits are equal. Prove the equality of the debits and credits. Prepare after adjusting entries. So we prepare the adjusted trial balance after we prepare all the adjusting entries. And what's the purpose of it? Is to prepare the financial statements. Because remember, the financial statement will have to be prepared from a proper trial balance. So let me show you the old trial balance that we were giving. This is the old trial balance. Cash 15,200, supplies 2,500, prepaid insurance 600, equipment 5,000, so on and so forth. After we prepare all the adjustments, so in between this trial balance and this adjusted trial balance, in between them, we prepared all the adjustments. And this is what we did in the prior sessions. I'm not going to go over them, but I'm going to show you, for example, what accounts are affected. For example, notice here under the regular trial balance, there was no account receivable. Under the adjusted trial balance, we have a 200 now an account receivable because we completed 200 worth of work. And if you remember, we debited receivable and we credited revenue. Okay, so we increased receivable and we increased revenue. Okay, now let's take a look at supplies. Supplies, and I'm just going to look at two more accounts. Supplies was 2,500. Supplies became 1,000. So supplies went down by 1,500 and supplies expense went up by 1,500. Notice with no supplies expense here. We did not even have any supplies expense. Therefore, now under the adjustments, we added supplies expense. And notice all the numbers that are highlighted in red, supplies, prepaid, account receivable, supplies, prepaid, accumulated depreciation, interest, unearned revenue, wages payable, salaries and wage expense, supplies expense, insurance expense, interest expense, depreciation expense. Those were all part of the adjustments that we prepared. Now, if you don't know what these are, then go back and view the prior recording. Otherwise, this is basically the adjusted trial balance. Now, from the adjusted trial balance, we can prepare the financial statements. But let's take a look if we can answer this question. Which of the following statement is incorrect concerning the adjusted trial balance? And be careful when it says incorrect. An adjusted trial balance proves the equality of total debit balances and credit balances in the ledger after all adjustments. Yes, it does. The adjusted trial balance provides the primary basis for preparing financial statements. Yes, it does. The adjusted trial balance lists the account balances segregated by assets and liabilities. No. The adjusted trial balance still takes the same format. Assets are listed first. Assets are listed first, liabilities next, common stock, retained earning, dividend, revenues, then expenses. So it's the same format. It doesn't segregate anything. The adjusted trial balance is prepared after adjusting entries. Yes, the adjusted after adjustments, of course. Of course, this is correct. So the correct answer is C. So C is the correct answer, which is we're looking for the incorrect. So C is the incorrect. Now, financial statements are prepared directly from the adjusted trial balance, and this should be a review. So I'm going to go real quick over this because if you want to learn how to prepare financial statements, go to another session. We're going to prepare the income statement, the statement of retained earning, and the balance sheet. On the income statement, remember the name of the company. So this is the trial balance. This is the trial balance. And notice since revenues or expenses are at the bottom, those numbers highlighted in red, I boxed them. I'm just going to highlight them in yellow. This way you can see them. So the revenues and expenses are listed at the bottom of the trial balance. So when we prepare the income statement, remember the date has to be prepared for a period of time. Revenues minus expenses, we list them, we total them. Then we take revenues minus expenses, gives us net income. So this is the income statement. Again, this is a review. For the statement of retained earnings, what goes on the statement of retained earning? Dividend. Dividend and obviously retained earnings. So beginning retained earnings happen to be 0. Remember, the date for the retained earnings statement is the same as the date of the income statement. Then we add net income that's coming from the income statement. Then we subtract dividend of 500. We come up with ending retained earning, which will go on the balance sheet on the next slide. Now we prepare the balance sheet, and what accounts goes on the balance sheet? Assets, liabilities, common stock, and obviously ending retained earnings. So we have assets. Remember, the date on the balance sheet is listed as a period of time. I'm sorry, as a point in time. Point, 1 day. Point in time. Point in time. We have assets listed first, and remember, we have assets minus accumulated depreciation will give us 4960, which is called the book value. Then we have total assets. Then we list our liabilities, total them, common stock, then retained earning coming from the retained earnings statement. Total liabilities plus stockholders' equity should always equal to total assets. So that's basically the financial statement in a nutshell. In a nutshell, again, we did work those how to prepare financial statement in details. So the financial statements are prepared from the adjusted trial balance. If you have any questions, any comments, by all means email me or see me in class. If you're studying for your CPA exam, as always, study hard. It's worth it.